Greetings, everybody. This is Brother Ravana Noon, back once again uh, with a new video. This will be part 2 to Sith Sorcery and the Way of Sith, and how a fictional character created by George Lucas is not as fictional as people think. It is based in reality. So let us continue from there. First of all, to review, last week we finished off with the first key of desire. There's five major keys of Sith sorcery. The first key is desire. That's where we left off at. So I will review and start from first key again. Once again, review that part. First key of desire. The first key is desire. But let me begin by this. Key The keys of Sith sorcery. Keys unlock doors. The keys to Sith sorcery are those that unlock the potentials of power that the sorcerer may yield or wield. They are as ingredients in the cauldron. And it is important to understand that because when we look at that reality, we understand that keys symbolically and physically open doors. This door, however, is related to the door of your potential. It is related to the door that opens and unlocks your subconscious mind, your unconscious, bringing forth your latent potential. The first key is desire. You have to understand that without any real desire, when you do a ritual, your ritual will surely fail. Desire is what fuels your ritual. It gives life to your ritual. It is the very essence of your ritual. So unless you have a strong desire for whatever goal, whatever plan, whatever person, whatever situation in life, your ritual will fail. Now, this may not be something you want to hear. You want to hear all the beautiful, fluffy stuff on how you can achieve greatness and great wondrous work through your rituals. But the reality is that you have to understand the basics of doing ritual work before you go any further. Desire stems from your passion, your lust, your sexuality, sensuality, your goals, your plans, things of that nature. It has to be something that is burning deep inside you to accomplish. You must have a true need to see the change you wish to effect. You have to have a need for this. You just can't say, oh, well, let me throw some craziness out there and see how it works. Let me see if it just, you know, works and it's successful. You gotta have a real need for what you're working a ritual for. Desire is the motivation behind your working. It must be felt deeply and to the extent that if your need goes unfulfilled, it will cause you pain. Now, this is the most important part of this first key of desire. So let me repeat that. Desire is the motivation behind your working. It must be felt so deeply and to the extent that if your need goes unfulfilled, it will cause you pain, frustration, things of that nature. For for example, let's say you have a desire for, let's say, a job, a well-paying job. You know that you're qualified, that you have the skills, but there's potential client, other potential people that are just as qualified as you. So you do a ritual to get this job, but your desire for this job has to be so strong that if you don't reach the final result of getting this job, it would cause you tremendous physical pain, spiritual pain, emotional pain, frustration, things of that nature. Let's say there's somebody you desire and you want this person really bad. That if you don't get this person, it causes you sexual frustration, backs you up sexually, and it causes tremendous pain. When you reach that level where you want something that bad, now you're fueling your ritual with strong motivation, strong energy. Then you'll start to see some real results. For individuals who are looking for the one marker or the one parameter or the one thing that identifies if somebody is really doing the work, there's one thing to always check for. What are the results of the work that they're doing in their personal life? What are the results of the work that they're doing? This, the results will reflect true work being done on themselves, on results of things you want in your objective world. It will show. Cloak yourself in your desire as you pull towards the power of the dark side. Now, we've spoken about this many a times. Why the dark side? The dark side is where your most potent latent power resides at. It is also where your most blockages, obstacles, pain, trauma, and wound is also buried at. So in order to really overcome yourself, master your weaknesses, you have to go into the dark side. You have to be willing to go deep into the abyss and there find your angers, your anger problems, your emotional problems, your pains, your wounds, the trauma that began in childhood to today. You have to find your perversions, you have to find your hang-ups, you have to find everything in there. And you can't be afraid to confront this. People have the biggest fear of confronting themselves. You have to be able to go to the dark side to confront this, find this, and through that you empower yourself. So cloak yourself deeply in your desire as you pull yourself towards the power of the dark side. Let your yearning shake you, ache in agony, and only when you cannot bear the craving for the change you intend to release, then release that energy into the cosmos in orgasmic delight, knowing that you have wrought your will. When it gets so strong, when the desire behind that intention gets so strong that you literally feel like when you release it, it's like an orgasmic release. Then you know that that power is so strong. It's fueled by such a desire that your intention is so focused that it'll reach its destination. You have to know this deep inside you. You just can't guess and say, oh, maybe, or possibly, or maybe, or possibly. You have to know. The second key for Sith Sorcery is timing. Before the serpent strikes, it rears its head and contemplates the best time to engage its fangs. A serpent just doesn't jump at you because it feels, oh, I gotta just jump at you. It calculates when it feels you're the most vulnerable, the most weak, the most fearful, and it'll strike at that very moment for the most calculated, precise time to get you. So, being a sorcerer or a witch or a magician or whatever title you want to use, you know that you have to be successful in your working. So a successful sorcerer depends on knowing when the target is in its most receptive state. So you want a job, and the interviewee, you remember her or his name, and you do some ritual work using that person's name, visualizing their face, and you find when their most receptive time is. Usually after midnight, 12, 1, 2, most people are sleeping. So let's just go with the fact that this individual may be asleep. This is the best time to work your ritual because at that moment, the person is at their most receptive state for you to wrought your will. So consciousness is an obstacle to outside unconscious influence. Therefore, the best time to cast your spell is when your target is asleep. Yes. Why? The conscious mind is no longer an obstacle to that time when they're asleep. The subconscious mind is awake, the unconscious, so it's easier to tap in and leave seeds of thoughts within their unconscious mind, subconscious, which when they wake up will filter towards the conscious mind. Better yet, the sorcerer should know when the target is in a dream state of sleep, which typically occurs in the last 2 or 3 hours before waking up. So let's say this individual wakes up at 8 a.m. every morning. Around 5 or 6, you should work your ritual. Working your sorcery is always most effective if it's done after midnight. Nighttime has always been the time of sorcery. While the masses of people are at rest, the flow of personal energy resonating into the living force is at its lowest. Which is very important to understand. Masses of people will be asleep. Your personal energy will be higher than masses of people who are asleep, and their living force is at its lowest state. So this is a kind of psychic low tide when the streams of consciousness and biorhythms are at a low. The nighttime provides the path of least resistance and should be utilized by the would-be successful sorcerer or sorceress. So, if you understand that, then you calculate the precise time to work your ritual. The precise time that'll be the most effective. It's usually after midnight, but 4 through 6 a.m. is usually one of the most powerful points of time to work rituals. However, most of us are so trained to go to sleep and be asleep by that time that we also leave ourselves vulnerable. This is unfortunately one of the paradoxes of working sorcery. You have to work your sorcery. You're going to try to be up at that time, but sometimes you're going to be asleep. You're also leaving yourself vulnerable for attack. So you got to learn how to build psychic self-defense and work around that time, and then when you rest, build that psychic self-defense of protection around you. That's for another class. The third key of Sith sorcery is imagery. The Sith sorcerer must prepare well the trappings of the thing that it is to be. Imagery, or imagination, is an intellect-saving device, a constant reminder to the conscious and unconscious mind of your intended outcome. Imagery is symbolic of our desire. Pictures, drawings, writings, and sculptures, etc. Even sound and sense build a blueprint of your intention. By the way, you can use all of these things working your ritual. Pictures, you can draw things like sigils. You can write your own personal invocations or evocations. You can have a sculpture or statue. And I use sometimes sound, dark, deep, meditative, ambient sounds, and scents. Incense, such as frankincense, myrrh, dragon's blood, herbs like wormwood, mugwort, Dittany Lacrete, things of that nature. They actually help you build a blueprint of your intention when you use these different methods. Images can be manipulated in a ritual chamber like actors in a play you have wrote. In the theater of your mind's eye, the symbols we choose solidify and make real the fantasy we employ towards our goals. For example, the classic doll, some call it the voodoo doll, whatever you want to call it, is an example of using imagery towards the ends of desire. Just as the act of the boy who carves the name of his amor on a tree, or his love on a tree inside of a heart, you're doing the same thing. If your desire for, let's say you have a desire for a lover, if your desire be for the attentions of a lover or to attract one, then you should use a well-contrived fantasy. Like, your fantasy got to be so detailed, so elaborate, that there's nothing missing. Let me tell you what I mean by that. If your desire is for, let's say, brothers, if your desire is for a female, you have to describe down to the T. You want it to be, of course, attractive. You want her hair type to be whatever. Me, I prefer natural hair, but I don't discriminate. I love all of my beautiful sisters. For my African American, Jamaican, Trinidadian, Haitian, to my Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, etc. To African Americans, to everything in between. I love them all. Okay? Or as Fight Dog from A Tribe Called Quest said, I like a brown and yellow Puerto Rican or Haitian, just as Fight Dog from the Zulu Nation. So, I'll leave it like that. It describes me. I like them brown, yellow, Puerto Rican, or Haitian. And anything in between those parameters. However, let's continue. Your fantasy should be detailed, like I said. You should have an outline or idea of how the face should look, the hair texture, the skin complexion, the size breast that you like, the size butt that you want for the female to have, the thighs, the legs, the toes, the personality. Do you want them to be dumb or you want them to be smart, intelligent? Do you want to have a romance or do you want to have a buddy? It's your choice. You have to be as detailed as possible. Then you have to build in your imagination a fantasy about you and that individual, however you want it to be. You've got to be detailed as possible and work it out. The reason I say detail is because There is spirits out there. When you learn how to work with spirits, ancestral spirits, and just different spirits in general, they will play a trick on you. Play a big trick on you, and they have crazy sense of humor, and they'll send you what you want, but with some twists and turns, and you ain't ready for it. So be detailed as possible. Create a map of what will come to be through drawings or litanies or by role playing. See the situations you intend as real, as if you are glimpsing into the future you are unfolding. If it is material things you desire, visualize yourself as being surrounded by these things. Gaze upon images of your desires, whether it's a car, a house, sneakers, Xbox One X, whatever. Visualize it and visualize yourself already holding, let's say, a cell phone if that's what you want, or holding the controller while playing the game, or driving that car as if it's real. Because they did a study not too long ago, clinical study, where they showed that if the mind imagines something, they showed an athlete imagining themselves running a race. And they hooked up electrode nodes to the body. And what they found is that the mind is so powerful that even in this imagination state, the mind was able to take that imagination as if it was so real that the same muscles fired in that athlete's body as if they were actually running the race. That's the power of the mind. Surround yourself with sights, sounds, and smells that represent your yearnings. Become a lodestone which attracts a situation or thing that you wish. To enact the destruction of another, you must first kill them by imagination. If that's what you want. If somebody is harming you, coming at you, whatever the case, you have a right to retaliate. It ain't no turn the other cheek, kiss this, kiss that, kiss the... No, bull crap. You come at me, I'm going to take you out. However, I do not go out being an aggressor against anybody. Okay? But if you come at me, my family, I'm going to take you out. There's no questions asked, no questions will even be addressed. No speaking, no words. You just will feel the wrath. You will feel it spiritually through the black magic that will be utilized, and you will feel it physically when you see me face to face. I promise that. I don't play that. Anyways, next story. So if it's somebody that's trying to harm you and you're trying to protect yourself, you're trying to protect your family, imagination should be good and strong in this. You can see yourself choking them, burning them, drowning them, symbolically, however you choose to. Destroy the image you have created of your target as vividly as possible. Images utilized by the sorcerer or sorceress are mechanisms to manifesting reality. Craft the images well, and they become as real things. The fourth key of Sith Sorcery is direction. Accumulating the force within and tempering it with your desire is a better part of a successful spell. But directing the energies and completely releasing them is far more vital to the operation. Let's say your lover that you desire lives in New York. You live in Orlando or Miami. You know where they live, so your direction is going to be north. Now, what strikes me as funny is that some of us live in the United States and still don't even freaking know where we live at. And some people will say, anyways, they'll give you the worst point of direction. And you're like, really, bro? Miami is south of New York. Why would you say down there when New York is up there? See, if your direction is messed up, then when you do your ritual and your point of direction is messed up, your ritual is going in the wrong direction. You should know what direction that which you intend that target to send that ritual towards that target. You should know where they're at, what direction they are from you. So I wonder how people even manage sometimes. But anyways, so you direct the energies to the exact location or precise location they are at. Once you have cast your spell, you must not have concern for it any longer. This is very important. Once you do something, your ritual work, and you say, so shall it be, it is done, or whatever you want to close it off with, leave it there. Don't go bring it with you into your living room or wherever else and then keep thinking about the ritual. Because what you're doing is basically dwindling down the energy that you just built up. You're making the energy weaker. You're making the energy weaker. Your intention is to make the energy stronger. Not weaker, people. So once it's done, leave it there. You must have no doubt that the spell has hit its target and has worked. No doubt. You can't be like shaky on this. You have to really know it hit its intended target. If not, it's not going to work. You're just sending stuff out and it's just going everywhere and it's just not going to work. The goal of casting a spell is to free oneself from the desire by directing the energies of that desire towards the goal. I'll say that again. The goal of casting a spell is to release the energy that you have, the desire that you have for something, by directing it, sending your energy to that desire, towards that goal, and then you just leave it there. Worrying about the effectiveness of the spell only weakens the emotional energy that you have sent out. It is akin to pulling back that which you have thrust into reality. When casting your spell, you must vent all your emotional energies into a ritualistically directed force. Pull the trigger and release the bullet, knowing the target will be hit. Simple as that, people. Number 5. The 5th key is balance. I would prefer to use the term harmony, not balance. Balance is stagnation. Now, I've had discussions with individuals about this. When you look at the symbolism of a balance, the scales are balanced. But here's the problem. Balance causes stagnation. There's no movement in the scales. Now, you may say, well, the Egyptians used the symbols of the scales. Yeah, but here's the trick. Y'all don't even catch your own philosophies that you supposedly study and live under. The feather is supposed to outweigh the heart. And then the heart's supposed to outweigh the feather. It's either one or the other that is going to happen on a scale. Outweigh, which means there's no balance on the scale. It's one or the other is happening. And when that happens, then you have accepted the reality of your own BS, accepted the reality of your own weaknesses, the reality of your own issues, the reality of your own behavioral crap, the reality of all these things, and you unbalancing the scales, but bringing harmony to accepting all facets of your life. The weak, the strong, the bullcrap, the beautiful, ugly, the lovely, you accept it all and the harmony is brought together. The harmony factor is summed up essentially as being realistic in the goals you set. Yeah, be realistic, people. Some of y'all want, let's say, Morris Chestnut as your lover. Oh man, this is hilarious. Y'all want Morris Chestnut as your lover, but you looking like a one-eyed bandit missing 5 teeth, but you want him as your lover. That's not realistic, people. It's unrealistic expectations, and you're going to set yourself up for failure, and you're going to be hurt by it because you really think you could get that. No, you got to be realistic, people. You got to really be realistic, and you're not being realistic. This is especially true when working rights of lust and compassion. The sorcerer must be honest enough with oneself to know their limitations. This means brutal self assessment, knowing what you have, what you can and cannot do. If you are less than attractive or just butt ass ugly, face the fact that the supermodel will not bend to your will, no matter how potent your craft is, just being just not being realistic. The greatest asset to the sorcerer is knowing what assets he or she has available. Self-knowledge is the greatest strength. We much, we must be honest. Sorry, we must be honest with ourselves about our limitations. Sorcery is like the nature of the force itself. Success depends on working with harmony rather than against it. So, those are the different 5 basic steps or 5 basic keys to Sith Sorcery. Now what I'm going to do is leave that right there and share with you more ways of the Sith and the living consciousness of the Sith and how it applies to your life. One of the things that Sith does is we study far and wide. Our objective is to get as much knowledge, which leads to wisdom, which then leads to power. So, how do you apply some of the Sith philosophy? One of the ways is to study different philosophies that are in unison or merge with Sith sorcery. So, only this have I learned so far, that man needs what is most evil in him for what is best in him. That whatever is most evil is his best power and the hardest stone for the highest creator. And the man must become better and more evil. Meaning that part of yourself that is considered the most broken, the most disgusting, the most darkest part of yourself is a perfect rough ashlar that can be utilized to create a perfect ashlar, a rough stone to a smooth, perfect stone. But in order to do that, you must embrace that part of yourself, and you must be able to confront that part of yourself and then learn how to work those weaknesses into strengths. But to do that, you have to be brutally honest with yourself that these things exist. Too many are delusional when you act like you have no problems. But yet you can see that you have problems. You have attention problems, you have acceptance problems, you have power and control issues and problems, you have love problems, but you want to mask it by being a freak. You want to mask it by dating the world and having sex. Unselective sex, I should say. Meaning you're not selective in your choices, which means you're leaving yourself open for a lot of bullcrap to infect you. Not just diseases. I'm not referring to just that. I'm talking about infect your mind, infect your ways. You're leaving yourself wide open. Because you are in a rebellious state and have no control over yourself because you haven't learned your weaknesses that rule your life, that run your life, so you still letting it run rampant. Nah. You gotta learn control. What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself in man. What is bad? All that proceeds from weakness. What is happiness? The feeling that power increases, that a resistance is overcome. Your weaknesses can be turned into power if you face them. Light will for a time have to be called darkness. This is the path you must tread. Friedrich Nietzsche. The greatest happiness is to scatter your enemy, to drive him before you, to see his cities reduced to ashes, to see those who love him shrouded in tears, and to gather into your bosom his wives and daughters. With heaven's aid I have conquered for you a huge empire, but my life was too short to achieve the conquest of the world. That task is left for you. Now, you can say, whoa, that's ruthless, but you have to look at it. Genghis Khan was speaking here, but personalize it. One of the greatest things you could do is conquer your own personal enemies, meaning the enemies within you, the so-called demons within you, weaknesses within you, the issues within you, the trauma within you, the pain within you, the delusions within you, the behavioral issues within you, the unrealistic expectations within you. You have to face that reality. That task is left up to you. Filling the conscious mind with ideal conceptions is a characteristic of Western theosophy, but not the confrontation with the shadow and the world of darkness. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. However, the latter procedure is disagreeable and therefore not popular. Woo, woo. Carl Jung, psychologist, was on serious point here. Let me repeat this again because I still see some individuals grappling with this. They're wrestling with this reality. Filling the conscious mind with ideal conceptions is characteristic of Western theosophy, but not the confrontation with the shadow and the world of darkness. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light. This is like 90% of the 99% of the right hand path. People want to do Merkabahs, people want to do crown chakra work, third eye work. They want to create these beings of light that they want so bad to come to them and give them whole light messages, but yet their shadow self is still governing and ruling a large part of their life and affecting their reality. So Carl Jung said, listen, that's all lovely. Now, you don't realize that sounds good. You can make these ideal conceptions and ideas of this enlightened reality. But he realized through his intense study, through his intense research, that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, Merkabahs and chakras and all this. True, that shit can and may exist. However, they do not do the work that's really necessary. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The Sith believe that in order to go into the dark side, you have to face your fears, you have to face your wounds, you have to face yourself, and find the weakest part of yourself and face it. And when you do that, you become empowered. You become an agent of the dark side, meaning you deal with your shadow self. And then you become truly endarkened, which some interpret as enlightened. You become truly endarkened because there's no mystery about yourself. You truly know yourself. You know all the ways about yourself. And you know how to master yourself. Not that those issues will not arise. Those issues will still arise. But they will not control you. You have control over them. So when you see them arising, you know how best to control it and use it in that present moment or situation. We must know that war is common to all and strife is justice, and that all things come into being through strife necessarily. Strife, chaos, is necessary for you to grow, not balance and peace. There's no movement, straight stagnation. When you get challenged in life, when chaos comes knocking at your door, that's when the best growth occurs in your life. The intangible represents the real power of the universe. It is a seed of the tangible. There are no limits, there are plateaus, but you must not stay there. You must go beyond them. If it kills you, it kills you. A man must constantly exceed his level. The Sith believe in challenging themselves. This is why when a Sith is an apprentice, he goes or she goes through many trials and tribulations as an apprentice. Not just mental trials, physical trials, where they have to face adversity and things that are trying to destroy them and kill them physically. They have to face this in order, even if it kills them. But they understand that they must in order to raise to a new level. Defeat is a state of mind. No one is ever defeated until defeat has been accepted as reality. I never lose. I never lose. Because even in my so-called acceptance of losing, I have learned something to never lose again. So you really can't never lose. You learn so that you don't lose again. But once you accept defeat as real, then you can be enslaved and a servant and used by anybody because you left yourself wide open. To me, defeat in anything is merely temporarily, and its punishment is but an urge for me to give greater effort to achieve my goal. Defeat simply tells me that something is wrong in my doing, that is a path leading to success and truth. Bruce Lee said all that. The question isn't who's going to let me, it is who's going to stop me. Ask yourself whether the dream of heaven and greatness should be waiting for us in our graves, or whether it should be ours here and now and on this earth. You make your heaven here. That concept of heaven, you make it here. You don't wait to be given anything. You take it through your work, your dedication, your persistence, your discipline, your conscious awareness, your elevation. You get it while you're here. The nature scientists has crafted our veneer impulses into us. In fact, these impulses are a part of the process she uses to create. However, Lucifer is the dark side of cosmic funcidity. the cutting blade of the sculptor's knife. Nature does not abhor evil. She embraces it. With it, she moved the human world to greater heights of organization, intricacy, and power. In a lot of my videos, I always talk about how nature is darker and more evil than you could ever imagine. But you want to flufferize nature, and you want to love nature. You want to hug trees. You want to kiss the earth. But all the while, nature is also trying to destroy, trying to cause chaos, because that's the only way true growth occurs. It challenges yourself in perilous situations that nature has wrought upon you to grow and become stronger. Howard Bloom said that. Swami Vivekananda, all right, let me say it again. Swami Vivekananda, okay, says that the weak have no place here in this life or in any other life. Weakness leads to slavery. Weakness leads to all kinds of misery, physical and mental. Weakness is death. There are hundreds of thousands of microbes surrounding us, but they cannot harm us unless we become weak, until the body is ready and predisposed to receive them. There may be a million microbes of misery floating about us. Never mind. They dare not approach us. They have no power to get a hold on us until the mind is weakened to let them in. This is a great fact. Strength is life, weakness is death. Strength is felicity, life eternal, immortal. Weakness is constant strain and misery, weakness is death. This is why as Sith, we master our weaknesses. We take our weaknesses and make them into strength so no man or woman can use it against us. You cannot allow your weaknesses to keep ruling you. You must take inventory of your weaknesses and do work about those weaknesses so they become strength. You're going to have to really get serious and deep into your work to really understand this. One ritual work that can help you: black candle, red candle. You could use any archetype you want, but if you really want an archetype of strength, you could use Set, Satut. You could use a Sith archetype of a Sith Lord, Sith Sorcerer, one of those. Put it on between the black and red candles. Then, I want you to take a piece of paper and write on there all the weaknesses that you want to confront. All the weaknesses you want to confront. And take the oils that are best to help clarify your mind, like camphor, will bring your mind to more awareness, like rosemary, and put it on the oil. Take and bend and fold that paper and put it under Set, a Sith, Ogun, Shango, Metcalfu, or Carrefour. Use any one of those archetypes or any one that attracts you from any of those systems that you feel you work best with, and put that paper underneath or in between that statue. Then invoke the energy or the power of that archetype. And after you invoke it, walk around a circle 3 times and speak out to yourself your weaknesses, and you are working to turn them into strengths. Once that's done, close the ritual. Do this ritual for 3 straight days, and then write down all the messages you received in your journal. Okay? This will benefit you many-fold over. Personalize the ritual best for you. However works better for you, but that's just an example. Most people live, whether physically, intellectually, or morally, in a very restricted circle of their potential being. They make use of a very small portion of their possible consciousness and of their soul's resources in general. Much like a man who, out of his whole bodily organism, should get into a habit of using and moving only his little finger. Great emergencies and crises show us how much greater our vital resources are than we have had supposed. Real understanding in spiritual matters is the result of much bitter fighting, of suffering, spiritual agony, and soul passion. Life itself would have no meaning if there was no fighting on all planes, if all was smooth and monotonous. Everything fights in nature. Every plant fights to get more sunshine. Every animal fights for food. The angels themselves, for those who believe that, fight. Constant struggle on all planes to which it has access is the birthright of the creature. Woe to him who wants to put himself on a level where they think that they can escape strife, chaos, and fighting. You're spooky, you're tripping, and you're delusional. Theodore Ilion said that. So understand this. You must learn to use the power of your darkness. You must not be afraid to use the power of your darkness. You must confront these things within yourself in everyday life so that when you work your rituals, there are less obstacles and blockages blocking your intended result, your desired result. And utilize those 5 keys of sorcery to really get some work accomplished. And be realistic in your workings. Do not do rituals with unrealistic expectations. You're doomed to failure. Before I close off, let me share this with y'all. This is my Baphomet piece that I had redone by a sexy, beautiful woman named Baphomarga. She redid it nicely, put a nice skulls and hematite, it looks like, with skulls here, the Baphomet. She does exceptional spiritual work. She deals in oils and incense, arts and crafts, dealing with more of the dark energy, dark work. This is her working, and I'm proud of her work and what she's done. So if y'all want to contact her, give me one moment and I'll get the contact information. Should have had it out. You can contact her at Ancient Pearl Essentials, Baphomarga the Christ. You can contact her at Marga, M-A-R-G-A, the T-H-A, Christ, K-R-Y-I-S-T, at hotmail.com. She has natural and healthcare products, magical tools, and holistic therapy. Contact her there in regards to receiving such great work. She'll give you an idea of what she does, and you can let her know what you're looking for. And she'll make magic happen. So, but y'all ain't allowed to call her Sexy Baphomarga. That's me. Only me am allowed to do that. Now I'm playing with y'all. She's sexy, so some of y'all brothers gonna be like, damn. Just know, I'm watching you. Now I'm playing. But anyways, hit her up. Get this great work done. And when I mean great, I just had a string on this with the Baphomet medallion. You see how she hooked that up? Skulls, pieces. I mean, it just looked nice. So get that. Make it happen. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, listen, comments. Realistic comments. Don't hit me up that you don't like me. I could care less. I probably wouldn't like you either. It's just bottom line. I don't care. I'm not here to be liked. I'm not here to be loved. I have my own life. I have success in my life. I don't need to do any of these videos. I don't charge any monetary amount for anything I do. I do it because I have a love and passion for sharing information through my 25 years of walking the occult world and my experiences I share with y'all. I've walked organizations inside and out, so there's not much y'all can tell me and come at me with. But I'm still willing to hear and learn. Don't hit me up that you don't like me or you find me a clown. That's your personal opinion. I don't care. You probably a clown yourself for even saying that. Doesn't bother me. If you really want a dialogue about what we're speaking about or sharing on these videos or our radio shows, then hit me up on that. Okay? Perfect. But do not, personal opinions, keep them to yourself. We're doing a show tonight on ancient Kemet vampirism, part 2, on Awakening Universal Minds at 9 p.m. on TalkShoe.com. Once again, that's Awakening Universal Minds on TalkShoe.com at 9 p.m. Ancient Kemetic Vampirism Part 2. Check it out. It's going to be really nice, really intense. Peace.